Welcome everyone to our Riverside City College School of Business show. My name is Justin Hudson.
And my name is Ajene Wilcoxson. One of our goals is to bring you entrepreneurs, academic instructors, classified professionals, and leaders within our community.
You got it that time.
Yeah, I'll let you do the next one.
Okay, so today we're doing something different. We are joined by our very own, my co-host, Dr. Ajene Wilcoxson. So today we're going to flip the script. We're actually going to interview Dr. Should I call you Doctor or Donnie?
Oh my gosh. Y'all, he just called me Donnie. Oh,
Someone told me to call you that.
Do not remember that. Do not repeat that. If you're a student, that's an automatic F. Okay. And if you're one of my friends, I will disown you. So no Donnie. Only person who can call me Donnie is my wife.
Okay.
You can call me Ajene.
We'll keep it like that.
Who told you that?
So tell us, Doc. So I have to say, I met Doc 2005. I was a student here, and I remember you being so cool and just charismatic, and man, just very inviting. So I just want to let you know I appreciate you, and here I am now, working alongside you, man. So this is full circle moment. So
I appreciate that.
Yeah. So thank you, Doc. You definitely inspired me and guided me along the way. So I want to, tell you thank you. And I'm sure students, you guys can all share a similar feeling or a similar sentiment of how Mr. Ajene has impacted you. So Doc, let's jump into it. Who are you? Where are you from? And how did you end up here?
Wow. Who am I? That's a question I ask myself every single day, to be honest with you. Who am I? That's part of, I think, what we call the hero's journey, is that reflection to discover who you are and what your purpose is in life. So I was born at Riverside here at March Air Force Base at the hospital that does not exist anymore. They tore it down, I think, about 10 years ago.
So are you dating yourself? Was that
a long time
1930?
ago. Ooh, he said 1930, y'all. 1930. That's messed up. No, it was not. That's all right. I'm going to come back at you. I'm just warming up a little bit. Yeah. So I think my grandmother was born in 1930.
Okay.
So I was born at the base.
Okay.
Grew up on east side of town on Dwight for a few years. And then was moved to the other side of town. I was adopted by a fantastic gentleman by the name of Leroy Joseph Wilcoxson. And I'm so thankful for that, because as I've gotten older, I realize I'm more and more like him. And he is just an awesome, awesome gentleman. He taught me how to meditate when I was like 9, sorry. And he's just been a really solid person in my life, so I'm real thankful for him. And then to the point, like, wow, okay, real. So I had issues when I was growing up, and I had anger issues. And
I would have never known.
Yeah, I had bad anger issues. And I accidentally hit a teacher. And I was in the 5th grade. But I was a big kid in the 5th grade. And I knocked her out. It was unintentional. I was trying to hit another person, and she stepped in the way, and I couldn't stop my punch. And she knew it was unintentional, because she was trying to protect me, and the school kicked me out of they wanted to punish me and make an example of me, so they kicked me out of the public school system until I turned 16.
Wow.
So I had to go to a private school. And at the private school, I was introduced to Brother George. Brother George was a big man. He was probably about 300 pounds. He didn't play. And so I remember when I got into his classroom, he told me to do something. I mouthed off at him. And he came behind me and he took my head and slammed into the desk.
Wow.
And I mouthed off at him again. I think I used profanity. And he grabbed me and he picked me up, took me to the principal's office. They put soap in my mouth. And then they paddled me. And I realized I wasn't going to get away with this. And it was the best thing that could happen to me. because I realized I couldn't act stupid.
Right.
And after that, he started mentoring me because he realized I had issues. As I've gotten older, I realized almost like therapy. It was kind of odd. And he worked with me from that age until 8th grade. And then I got into counseling to get over these anger issues. And, you know, strange enough, y'all, I did not have exposure to people I didn't have exposure to people of other nationalities until I got into, I'm thinking about this. So all the schools I went to, there were no Hispanic, there were no blacks. I went to Notre Dame because I wasn't 16 yet, so I still couldn't go into a public school. So my dad had to pay for me. That's another reason I respect him, because he didn't make a lot of money and he had to pay. He sacrificed because he had no choice. The school at that time, if you got kicked out of school, they didn't help pay.
That was it.
That was it. So he had to pay for me to go to these private schools. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to go to school. And so at Notre Dame, it was the first time I met people who were of Hispanic, Latin background, or black.
Wow.
And there was only like 5. And so after I turned 16, I told my dad, okay, I need to go to public school. You need to save this money. So I transferred to Riverside Poly, and I was overwhelmed because that was a school that had every ethnicity. It was absolutely crazy.
That time, yeah.
And I didn't know how to act around people of other ethnicities because I was only exposed to one. So I would come to school dressed up. I'd wear a tie because that's all we had. We had to wear that in Catholic school. I wore a tie and khakis and, you know, shoes that lace up. And so people were like, what's wrong with you? It was crazy. It was crazy. And then I met Mr. Dale Roberts, who...
Mr. Adrian Dale Roberts.
Yeah, who just... My dad said, when you get there, I want you to meet Dale Roberts because he'll take care of you. And I went to his office. And
was Mr. Roberts a teacher?
No, he was in charge of discipline.
Oh, wow.
At Riverside Poly. And so I met Dale, and he took me under his wing, and I've been there ever since. And he really helped me, got me involved in BSU, and just really helped me to start to become who I'm supposed to be. And Dale's still mentoring me today.
Wow.
So, that's kind of a snapshot of how I got to where I've been. But I'm not gonna lie, that's why I tell you all that sometimes therapy is good. I go to see a therapist once a year just as a checkup, a mental health checkup to make sure that I'm okay. And at that time they'll say, oh, you need to keep coming back, or they'll say, you're okay, come back next year.
Wow.
Just because of, you know, we in the field that I'm in business, but I'm also in the psychology field. Yes.
But why do you go to therapy? Because it gives you tools?
Yes, good question. Thank you. So therapy, good. It gives me tools I need to handle the challenges that I face in life, but also we call it the shadow. A lot of people say it's the negative emotions we have, but it's more than that. It's the things that we don't want people to know about ourselves, and it's the things that we keep buried inside. But how do you get rid of a shadow? How do you get rid of a shadow?
Put light on it.
You put light on it, right? So therapy puts light on it, and you bring it out, which means you become more of a whole person, and the word is called individuation, which means that we are accepting and embracing even the things that we have challenges with about ourselves, which makes us grow and become a fuller person.
So going back, so you mentioned that you were adopted. So do you feel that as you grew older, you were angry, or did you, like, what was going through your mind? Like, where do you think these anger management issues stem from?
Yeah, I was angry. Yeah, I was angry because it was like, I don't want to go into too much detail just because there's people who could get hurt.
100%.
But there was times when I felt betrayed, isolated, and even there were challenges with extended family that, wow, that a young child shouldn't have to deal with. I'll just give you one example, y'all. My dad was gone. He dropped me off with extended family, and the extended family decided to take a family portrait, and they said, "You can't be in it." And I'm like, "Why?" They're like, "For two reasons. One, you're not truly a Wilcoxson, and second, you're too dark." And I was like, wow. So, I mean, that really hurt. I was like, I think 10 years old, 9 years old. Went home and told my dad. He could tell I was upset, and he asked what's going on. I told him. He made me feel so good because he grabbed my hand, and we went back to the extended family. He told them all. And that made me feel really good. So that's when I really knew he had my back.
Yeah.
You know, it was good stuff.
And so, what kept you on that path to moving forward? Because a lot of times we hear situations like this, and people can go left, but you went right. So who besides Dr. Roberts or Mr. Dale Roberts, who else was there for you, advocating for you to continue moving forward, and who believed in you?
I didn't go right. Yeah, I was very angry, brother. And so I did things that I should not have done. I became a drug addict. Yeah, I started experimenting with some hardcore drugs, and it kind of got out of control. I hurt a lot of people, hid it from a lot of people, and one day I woke up, like one of my friends was put in jail, and one morning I woke up after being sick, and I'm like, you know what, this has got to change. I got to change. And I woke up, and that was it. It's like, not to be religious, sorry y'all, but I felt like God heard me, and I had no withdrawals.
Wow.
And I felt like in order to be right, I had to call everyone that I hurt. I had to call everyone who didn't know who I hid it from and tell the truth. So I called everyone and told them the truth and apologized. And that's when things started getting better.
Wow.
Yeah, I hid it from the people who loved me the most. They didn't know. And I told them, and like Dale was one of the people who I told. And he was disappointed, but he had my back. And that's when things started going right. I wrote, and got an RCC, and had some challenges, but I was lucky. I had some good mentors, Dr. Ron Yoshino, who really, we connected. I remember because I was committed. I was driven at that point, y'all. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like back then, like faculty would not just add you to a class.
Right.
So I needed his class, and he's like, no. And so I sat outside. I'm like, well, if someone drops, I'll be ready to hit. So I brought a chair, and a lawn chair. I sat outside his door for him to add me.
You were determined.
I was determined. And a week went by. No one dropped. Y'all, it started raining. The second week it started, I had to bring an umbrella, sitting outside his door, trying to take notes, listening, because he wouldn't let me sit in the class, so I wasn't a student. And the students were like, Dr. Yoshino, you need to let him in the class. It's raining outside. He's been here for a week and a half. And so he's like, come on in. And he saw my, commitment. And then I had some challenges, and I disappeared, and he actually called me on the phone. It's like, Mr. Wilcoxson, you're missing. I need you to come back to class. And he became a mentor to me. It's really, really cool. So I had him and some other people in the community, Woody Rucker Hughes. She used to be in charge of the NAACP. They started really taking care of me. That became my family. And that was the start of my journey, to be honest with you.
Wow. So, I mean, okay, you're here at RCC, but what was your mindset? What did you want to do for a career?
Yeah, so I knew I wanted to, well, at that time, actually, I thought I wanted to go into psychology because I was working in the mental health field. I thought I wanted to be a CEO of a hospital. but I got discouraged because of all the insurance challenges. I remember I was in charge of physician relations and admissions, and patients would come into the hospital, and we couldn't admit them. And so they would go out onto the major street, Barton Road, and lay out to get hit by a car. And then we'd call the insurance company, and they say, okay, you can admit them because it's acute. And I'm like, I can't handle this. This is crazy. So, so my CEO got through RCC, graduated, went to Cal State San Bernardino, graduated. Still think I wanted to go get my, become a psychologist or work in the field somehow. And he told me he needed me to get an MBA. And I didn't want to. It's like, I want you to, otherwise I'm going to fire you. And so I did, and that changed my life.
Wow.
Yeah, and at that point, I loved business. I had always liked business because I was always a hustler, but I didn't think of it as a true career. I saw myself as really being a psychologist working in a hospital. So, yeah.
So can you communicate to our students the value of college?
Oh, absolutely. Wait, sorry, y'all. College completely flipped my life. One, the people I met, the mentors I met, some of the students that I've become longtime friends with, the networking that is involved, and the knowledge that no one can take away from me. I realized that because of college education, I never had to have a job. I could always create a job.
One more time, can you say that?
I never was worried about having a job because I had the skills, knowledge, and background to create my own job. Skills, background, and knowledge, all three. They're important, but education is a foundational part of that.
And that leads us into entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
And
Can you demystify community college? Meaning, some people think that community college is an extension of high school. Can you speak to that and let people know that it is not an extension of high school?
Yeah, no.
And why it's not an extension of high school?
Yeah, the major difference for me, from my own experience and then from being a teacher here for so long, a high school student, you're obligated to be there, and the teachers have an obligation to kind of commit to you.
Can you preface everything with, being at a community college is different than being at a high school?
Absolutely, it's totally different.
Right, but I need you to communicate.
Oh, okay, I got you. So a high school student and a community college student are completely different. There, you're kind of forced to do and be. Here, you're not. It's up to you. You'll have the support from faculty and classified professionals and those people around you, but it changes because now the onus is on you. And that is so hard, I think. That's a transition that a lot of students aren't ready for. And that's why you have to seek out someone who's going to help support and guide you, like the individuals in this room. Because if you don't want to study, no one's going to force you.
not at all.
If you don't want to take this serious, no one's going to force you. If you don't want to come to class, no one's going to force you. You'll just be dropped. So the college experience is part of this growing up and maturing that I think is good for us. But most people don't know what that's about because their parents may not have come. Right? Their friends may not have come. So you have to jump in with a professor. You need to get involved with the experiences of things that are happening on campus, get involved with clubs, anything that can help immerse you into it, get you familiar with it, and give you the support that you need to succeed.
100%. That was a great question.
Thank you.
And so, okay, you're here at RCC, you graduate, you go to Cal State San Bernardino. Your mentor at the time was encouraging you to get your master's. You get your master's. And now, when did you start your first business?
Whoa, so I started my first business when I was here at RCC.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I started, this was before Amazon. I started a religious spiritual bookstore online. Yeah.
Wow.
It was kind of fun. I didn't make a lot of money, but it was fun.
Okay, so you got your feet wet.
Got my feet wet, yeah.
Okay.
And then I started a travel agency, Cruise Only, which was really fun. I actually sold that to a company called Vagonly. It looks like Wagon Lit, but it's called Vagonly. I had a database of over 650 clients, and I sold that to them. And then here at RCC, I started two businesses. One was called Ajene Cosmetics, and I had a store at the Claremont Plaza, Claremont Mall, Mount Clair Mall, sorry, and that went very well. Matter of fact, one day I think I may bring it back.
And you had no experience in cosmetics.
No, I took classes. Did you hear what I just said? I took classes because I realized that's a good industry. So I took classes, and my students all needed jobs. So if they took a class in makeup, I let them work for me. So it worked, brother. It worked, y'all. So I employed my students, had the business for like 3 years, started doing very well. And I don't remember who the president was at that time, but the president happened to come by and I was working there. Ha!
Of the school.
Uh-huh. And the president was like, oh, I was wondering where you disappeared to. Because I was running right after class to the business, right? After office hours. And she's like, you need to kind of make a decision. Do you want to do this or teach? So I shut it down for that reason. It was kind of cool though, y'all, because we were about to have our first fashion show with Iona magazine, and we're gonna do, it was, yeah. So I still have that. I own it, so I may do that eventually. Ajene for Don Ajene Cosmetics. And then a friend of mine lost his job, and he worked for Ralph Lauren, so I helped him start a clothing line. And not that I wanted to be involved, I just wanted to help him. And it ended up being, he called it Wilcoxson Fletcher Fine Clothing. And we were making custom men's suits. The turnaround was 7 days, custom made for the men. So he would go to an executive's business, measure them, help them pick out the material. And then 7 days later, business days, they'd have their suit.
So it's like a business suit on demand.
Yes.
Wow.
And
this was back when?
15 years ago. Yeah, 15 years ago. And it got very well. He was a good salesperson. He got into the Staples Center, started selling to the athletes, and it was going very, very well. So that was another business.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and now currently I have two businesses. One is a financial business where we help people with their finances, and then the second is one that's dear to my heart. It's spiritual emotional intelligence, where our goal is to help people really tap into their capacity to live a full and meaningful life.
So it sounds like the key here is to not give up, to keep going. So you went from cosmetic sales to suit sales. Now you're doing the social emotional learning. I mean, so what's next, Doc?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. That's another chapter.
Okay.
Haven't got to that chapter yet.
Okay.
Yeah, I see though my spiritual emotional intelligence really laying a foundation for me doing because it's not only that, but I'm certified in Jungian psychology.
Wow.
And along with the spirituality and yes.
What's the common denominator between all those businesses, even though you didn't know what those businesses entail?
People.
And
Helping people feel better about themselves. So the cosmetics outward, the suits outward. You with me? The finance outward, inward. Spiritual, emotional, inward.
Wow.
And one other thing was, you reinvented yourself each time. Can you talk about that?
Whoa. So my life is like a book, and each book, as you know, books have different chapters. So that's part of what I mentioned at the very beginning, a hero's journey. Each chapter is that walk that I'm taking to become my authentic full self, right? Which is the last chapter. Yeah, wow. So each chapter, as I've learned more about myself through therapy, self-reflection, a lot of meditation, it's helped me become who I truly am at a deeper level. And so it seems to me like my businesses are kind of reflecting that. And then also I have just such a passion for people in finance, because people don't understand finance.
Right.
You know, like this weekend I was driving, and these people were having a car wash to bury a loved one. And that hurts me to my core, when they could have purchased a life insurance, like a final expense policy is $20 a month.
Wow.
And that could easily take care of putting someone away very nicely. You know
Wow.
what I mean? So it's an evolution of who I am as well and what I'm doing. That's why this spiritual emotional intelligence, I'm so passionate about it, because I really want to help people to live an authentic life, so meaning becomes who they are at their core. Yeah.
So taking it back, how did you find your way back to RCC teaching?
Yeah, kind of like you. We met through mentoring. I did an internship here and was mentored, and I liked it. And then I became a stockbroker, and they called me and asked me to.
Stockbroker.
Yeah, that was right after I graduated. I wanted to work here, but there were no openings because I loved interning, like you did. You loved interning,
Oh yeah.
right? And I loved it. I'm like, where else can I come? What other job can I have where I'm going to meet so many unique people and grow from the experience? That's you, students. Where else can a person have? I'm blessed to have the opportunity to meet with you all because I learn as much from you as you do from me, and it helps me develop as a person. That's part of my chapter each semester.
Wow.
And when they called me and said, there's an opening, we'd like you to apply. And I'm like, is the job guaranteed? And they're like, no. And so I took a risk because I had to quit while I was still being trained as a stockbroker. And they had already spent like $100,000 on my training. And so I was actually banned from the industry for a few years.
Oh wow.
Because that became public.
Oh.
And I didn't have a job when I applied for this job. If I'd have graduated from my training, I would have to pay them back, Justin.
Are you serious?
Yeah, so I had to quit before I graduated. And then I didn't have a job for 3 months,
Wow.
hoping the RCC would come through, and I was really blessed that it did.
And you've been here how long now?
This will be my 26th year.
Wow. Wow.
That's crazy.
Wow. Now switching gears, Doc. When we talk about music, what is a song that is a theme to your life?
See, that's hard, Justin. I don't have a song that's a theme because each song is a reflection of a different chapter of my life. So I think back to like, wow, what was happening at my life at certain points,
Sure.
and then certain songs kind of pop out. So for like some reason, like I remember like first person I was infatuated with, I remember Stevie Wonder's song, My Sharia Moore. I think of Public Enemy because of the things we were going through at that time period, right? I think of Prince.
Wow.
I think of Madonna. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
That's kind of crazy.
But I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, it's hard for me to say one. Do I have one particular song that it represents who I am? I don't know, to be honest with you.
Okay.
So I'll have to take a rain check on that.
Okay.
Now, do you mind? I would like to continue this conversation, but I have to get to class.
A part two?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can we do a part 2?
Sure, of course.
Is that cool?
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll do a part 2 another day in the future, and we'll just pick up where we left off.